welcome back. Was rather hoping you'd return. I thought you would. Kevin Pressman and Matt Roney, two long-distance men of Sheffield football, two great role models of football as well, are with us in the studio. Matt Roney of Sheffield FC, their appearance record holder, who has a testimonial game coming up on Tuesday against Sheffield United, and Kevin Pressman, the former Sheffield Wednesday goalkeeper, with his near 500 appearances, but more pertinently perhaps because he had three big goalkeeping rivalries there. More pertinently, he was with the Owls for 24 years of his life, which is remarkable, and we reckon, James Gregg here in the studio, that, and Kevin reckons, and so does Matt, it will never happen again.
Well, no,
at any level.
No, absolutely not. And I've got to say, you know, got man here with a testimonial, you know, and Kevin never got one. It's weird because
it's true. Yeah, lots of reactions.
Yeah. It's weird because, you know, in my life, I can't get my head around that. In my lifetime, you know, as watching the Blades and the Owls as well, that you're probably the only one. There's Nick Montgomery as well, who played sort of a near amount of games, played about 390 odd games, I think, in 12 years. He didn't get a testimonial either. So
it's not just you, mate.
Oh, that's a relief.
Exactly. Yeah. Hey, so count yourself lucky, mate.
Yeah. To be honest, there's been a lot of unprovoked by me, unsolicited. A lot of people have made that comment on Twitter following the appearance that they've used strong words to describe the fact that you didn't. Of course, it's not the responsibility or the fault of the current regime at all, because it's way back. But anyway, he's just nodding his head.
Yeah, no, I agree. It is. I mean, you know, it's something that happened. Unfortunately, politics in football is ever present, even back then. And I got caught up in a power struggle at the time. I was actually offered a testimonial. I had organised a team to be played, which was Sheffield United.
Right.
I went back to the manager at the time and the chairman, and basically I got told flat that I wasn't going to have one, and it wasn't no longer on the table for me to have one. So it wasn't to be, you know, for whatever reasons the politics were. I never really understood it at the time, and you know, disappointed. I'd love to have done. I never got to say goodbye when we played QPR the last game of the season. I think they beat us 3-1 and they went up with promotion, so they were actually allowed to celebrate with their supporters. So I couldn't even do a lap of honour back then. So I've never really, in my own mind, closed the book and moved on as such, because didn't do it on the last game of the season, and then unfortunately I never had a testimonial, and I left from then. So, you know, it's now water under the bridge, obviously, but it was thoroughly disappointing at the time.
I can imagine it would be. It's a strange, football doesn't seem to have a consistent policy on testimonials, does it? Some players get them, some players don't. Yeah. I imagine that going back to an era where players weren't as well rewarded as they subsequently became, you know, during your years at the top, it would be more meaningful. But it's perhaps more about
sentimental.
Symbolic. It's more symbolic, isn't it?
Yeah.
Than financial, perhaps.
Well, it is. You know, it's, you know, I committed 19 years of my career to the club. I mean, it would have been longer if I had choice. If I had that choice, unfortunately, it wasn't to be. You know, should everybody get them? No, not really. Not everybody deserves them. For one reason or another. I mean, I see testimonials now, or benefit games where players have been at a club, left, come back, and then have obviously done the 10 years, and that seems to them to warrant a testimonial. I don't think that's really right. I think it has to be unbroken, but it's not really down to the player, it's down to the people in charge, which is usually, you know, the top of the football club.
One or two other interesting comments coming in on Twitter. You provoked a big reaction, most of it positive, including from Sheffield United supporters as well. You always had great games against.
I remember the one, and it's one where the Blades actually won. But it was 3-1 at Bramall Lane under Warnock.
Must have been the only game.
I've got to say, won. Because Warnock had a bad record in derbies, didn't he? Yeah. But I remember Kevin saving. So it could have been about 8-1, 9-1, and he's pulling off all these saves, tipping them over. The only one really beat was the bloody Michael Brown one, wasn't it?
To be fair, yeah.
Which was a belter.
That was a good strike. Yeah.
That was a fantastic strike. Yeah. There's a guy, a journo down south, Ed Snip, who's a Wednesday fan. He says, I remember a certain David Pleat blaming Kevin Pressman for him losing his job at Sheffield Wednesday, and he quotes David Pleat as having said, He played like he had a bar of soap in his hands.
We're not doing you too well here, are we, Kevin?
That's the that comes with the territory with being a goalkeeper.
Was this following that 7-1 at Man United?
I can't exactly remember the result. If it's the one at 7-1, I think they were 5-0 up at half time, weren't they?
Yeah.
And I remember walking up the tunnel in shell shocked, and Paul Scholes says to the kit man at Man United, he went, "Do us a favour, you can get me a coat for the second half, I'm getting cold." And then it realises it's only half time, you've got another 45 minutes. It wasn't a good day for the football club. Unfortunately, Mr. Pleat lost his job, which I personally apologised to him when I saw him the next day. But unfortunately, he had a chance to put something in the papers, which is true. Did read that, what can you do? You just have to take it on the chin as a person and come out fighting and become a stronger character through it. But
I have to say, in knowing David Pleat, it wouldn't be like him to particularly single out one person, whether that was one comment that was homed in on by those evil journalists. I know we look for a line, what's the standout line, and that may have been the comment that was seized. Have you still got the soap?
Have I still got the soap? No, I haven't, unfortunately, no.
You've washed your hands of it?
Yeah, I have, yes, definitely.
Oh, yeah. The worst ones are the best ones still. I don't know. Anyhow, you were with Millwall for 6 years, and seemingly at a loose end, but not at a loose end, because I know that you've got something coming up that's quite interesting. But had you had a break from football until this recent period?
No, I hadn't, to be honest. I've been, as a player and a coach, 34 years. And it's now, this summer, I left Millwall. It's the first time I've had a break. It's the first pre-season I've missed. To be honest, thoroughly enjoyed it in the fact that, you can switch off and, never realise what the other side is like, to be honest. Which I've enjoyed, but now I'm wanting to get going again. I can't sit around. It's not for me. I want to go and do something that I've always enjoyed, and I've still got the same passion and drive and determination as what I was when the first day I started it.
And in fact, you've got a trip coming up, haven't you?
I have,
international trip.
Yes, I have. I've been very fortunate enough to now be involved with Northern Ireland's under-21s. We fly out on Monday. We're in Luxembourg for a friendly, and then we've got a European Championship qualifying game in Spain the following week. So I'll be away for 10 days with those. So it's an opportunity for me to see behind the scenes and the organisation of international football. I was lucky enough to be involved as a player, and I've seen that side where everything's done for you and it's a seamless operation. I now get a fantastic opportunity to see the preparation, see if it's different from club football and the everyday preparation of that, and see if it's different.
Gets you out of the house as well.
Oh, it does, yes.
Yeah. And do you want to go back into club football as a keeper coach, or just are you totally open-minded?
No, I'd like to go back full time. I need to do something. I want to do something. I need to do something.
Well, in fact, you were close to a job at Sheffield Wednesday. We'll come to that in a moment, because they've now filled a second vacancy there for an academy goalkeeper coach. Yeah. And in fact, you showed high class on Twitter because you congratulated Tommy Lee, the former Chesterfield goalkeeper who's landed that position, which I thought was an excellent thing for you to do in the circumstances. Matt, last time we spoke, in addition to a little bit of property work, you were driving celebrities like Lee Westwood and Michael Vaughan around, weren't you? Yeah. Are you still doing that kind of work?
No, not as much. No, just really busy in Sheffield with what we're doing. So no, I don't miss it either, to be honest with you. Sort of 8-9 hours behind the wheel. I know I said that we used to go to obviously a lot of glamorous events and dinners and appearances and sort of all over the country. But yeah, I don't miss those long drives now.
No, okay, well, Kevin will volunteer for something. He's been shuttling up and down the M1 down to Millwall, hasn't he, on a regular basis for 6 years, honestly. Let's go back to that. I mentioned earlier, Tommy Lee is the new academy coach at Sheffield Wednesday, outstanding goalkeeper at Chesterfield, an outstanding man as well. I think anybody who's met him would testify to that, and not only because he's been in the studio as a guest, very impressive guest, and will be again. Human nature's going to be disappointing for you personally.
It was. I mean, I did apply for it. I did have an interview for it. I'm not the one that makes the decisions. You know, obviously I'm available, and I'd love to have gone back. You know, and it's a dream of mine that I've always wanted to do that, and unfortunately it's not this time. You know, they've got the reasons, the club and whatnot, and the direction they want to go. And you know, like I said, I wish them all the best with regards to it. It's, you know, yeah, disappointed, of course. You know, you always dream of coming back to a club that you've supported and still support now, but not to be. Move on, and for me, need to look after, you know, look for something else. But I think the club is in good hands. They've got 2 young goalkeepers, and they've got 2 young goalkeeping coaches there, you know, which will hopefully help each other to develop what's coming through.
They're close to the age of or closer than some people would be to the age of the goalkeepers that they're working with, as you were when you began your own coaching career.
Yes.
You know,
yeah,
so
true.
you know that is a link. We're all getting a bit older, but well, some more than others.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you're definitely right. You know, the coaching side of it is the foundations that I believe in is consistency as a coach. You know, set your stall out. Am I wrong? Yes. Am I wrong in training? Do I do things wrong? Yes. I expect the goalkeepers to question me. I expect them to pull me up, ask me why we're doing certain things. I think it's a fantastic thing for me as a coach to have that conversation with both of them. And ultimately, at the end of the day, you know, we work together to achieve the greatness that he wants to achieve. I get a buzz off whoever it is. And it's rewarding. You know, it's frustrating at the time because you can't play, but it's rewarding the fact that you're actually, hopefully, giving the young keepers the advice and the guidance through your own personal experiences with regards to developing them, not me, not trying to turn them into me, but trying to develop them into them as a person, an individual, to utilise the strengths the best they possibly can.
Well, you certainly had some ups and downs in your career. It was never easy for you. You had to fight for everything, didn't you? Because you had Chris Turner, I think, was your main rival early on.
Yeah. It was Martin Hodge was the first one that I started with. I mean, like I say, we recently spoke about his unbroken appearance record that he had at the club. Learned from him, being a number 2. Like you said, Chris Turner again. Had a couple of loan times when Chris Woods came in. I think Chris Woods is probably the hardest time for me. I think I played 4 games in 2 years after being first team.
Well, he was a big money signing, wasn't he?
Yeah.
It was 1.2 million, which was a lot of money then.
Yeah, I mean, it was quite funny because, I mean, a lot of rumours. Me and Chris were there, and Trevor had said to us, you know, I haven't decided who's starting the season, have a good pre-season. So the week before the season starts, there's a lot of rumours in the press that Chris Woods is signing. So I've gone down to see Trevor, and I said to him, I knocked on his door, and I said, I've just come to ask, you know, is it any truth? And he turned on me and said, what's it got to do with you? I says, well, it's my position, I play, and you know, it might dictate my future. He says, well, okay, I understand where you're coming from. Anyway, for a matter of fact, he's not. I went, oh, that's fine, okay, I'm sorry, you know, I do apologise for disturbing you. So I got up, walked out the door, walked around the corner. Who I walked into? Chris Woods.
You're joking. You are kidding.
No, and I literally bumped into him. And I went, oh, sorry, and I looked around and I went, oh, my, it's Chris Woods. So I walked out the door and I just thought, what do I do? Anyway, they signed him, obviously, like you said, for 1.2 million. And he played the opening game of the season. The Frank Barlow, who was there at the time, was a close friend then, and he advised me and whatnot was, don't do anything hasty, let things settle, don't do everything, you know, how you feel, because you probably make the wrong choice. And I left it a month, and you know, within that month Chris had left to go to Orient, I think it was. So obviously back then there was only me and Chris Wood, so I ended on the bench, got the odd appearance here and there, which I cherished and tried to do the best by, because I knew I wouldn't be playing the next game. But I was always prepared, and that was my motto.
One thing I'm going to ask you in a minute, after James has done his roundup, is the trend for goalkeepers now is to flap sometimes or punch, but I always thought, with my uneducated eye, that you were one of the best at actually catching and claiming that ball, you know, when it was crossed. And there seems to be a different mindset among goalkeepers now. I'll come to you for that in a minute. And Matt can chip in because he's had 5 games as a goalkeeper as well. What's going on, mate?
Absolutely, yeah. Good start to the season for the Blades, first of all. Big win last weekend against Bolton, wasn't it? 3-0 winners. Yeah, it was a great game, wasn't it?
Do you know what was best about it? I wasn't there. What was best about that was no goal from a striker. And last year, they were let down partly from the fact there wasn't an output from any other position.
Yeah.
3 goals, none of them.
It was good.
striking.
It was good, yeah. And I think Oliver Norwood's been a pretty good signing as well. Well, they're at home against Villa this weekend as well, 3 p.m. Bramall Lane. Wednesday are down at Reading as well, boosted of course by Bannon signing that new contract today, 3 more years at Hillsborough for him. Not too many qualms about going out with the Carabao Cup on Tuesday night. I know you were watching that one.
Yeah, well, not really. I mean, I normally hate to see managers at any level field an understrength team. And Wednesday made 11 changes. I'm considering that. And they were up against an experienced, more experienced team, 1 or 2 really good players in there. That it was a respectable performance, really, in those circumstances, and not much doubt, really, about the result.
No.
So, but there you go.
Sheffield United ladies, they're up and running this weekend in the league against Durham at home on Saturday, so we'll come back to that one next week. We'll do non-league in a minute. Obviously, we might as well, since we've got a man in the studio who knows it very well. Eagles back to winning ways 2 weeks ago away at Swinton. They had a week off the weekend just gone. Round 3 of the Super 8s comp continues tomorrow night. Against the Dewsbury Rams, so that's home, still loads of tickets left, and Mark Aston hopes that the feel-good factor can continue. So the way of doing that is with a win and with lots of supporters in the ground as well. Sheffield's Steve Baton, he's been named in the North of England team to run in the Trafford 10K on Sunday. He runs for the Hallamshire Harriers, and he won the Sheffield Yorkshire Half Marathon.
All right.
I thought you won it, actually. I thought you won that one.
In my dreams, I did.
Yes.
Yeah.
What time did you do? If you don't mind me asking,
What's my best time for the Sheffield?
Yeah.
My best time for the Sheffield is 1 hour 57. My career best time for a half marathon is 1 hour 45.
Right.
But that was like 2 or 3 years ago.
Okay. Well, this fellow runs,
23 years
he runs 10k in about half an hour, so it's pretty good. And also
Makes you sick.
yeah, it does, doesn't it? It does. South Yorkshire, they'll also have competitors in the school games at Loughborough as well this weekend. So we'll do a bit of a rundown of the successes from that next weekend on the programme. Sheffield Steelers, they've got 16 new players in their squad, but they'll be well prepared. Their season starts again, and it starts off with a bang as well, because they play against the Nottingham Panthers on Saturday. Not a bad first game, is it, that one? So that'll be a bit tasty. So Coach Paul Thompson, he believes that the characters that he's brought in, all 16 of them, they'll be up to the challenge for that one. A bit of golf, Matt Fitzpatrick, 72 in Denmark, level par. He's hoping for a Ryder Cup berth, of course, in Paris. He's just outside the automatic rankings, so he's relying on a captain's pick unless he wins or something in the next couple of weeks. A good bit of work to do after today. Danny Willett as well, 3 under par, 69 for him. And then we'll come back to non-league. Well, Hallam, they bounced back on Tuesday night. They had 2 losses. They beat Parkgate 1-0 at Sandygate. Bit of a break now for them. And of course, Matt Roney's Sheffield FC against the Blades in the big game on Tuesday night. But before that, it's Pontefract, Colliery, is it? On Saturday, Colliery.
He didn't know. I asked him when he came in, he had to look it up on his phone. He said, I'm not sure we're playing. That's because of his golf day. Not his golf day, his golf night.
Yeah, of course. Well,
I've heard about this.
Important.
Yeah. You were there. You were
I
there,
was,
right?
yeah.
It was a day and a night.
It was a day-nighter, yes. Quite a late one, so...
It's all right. You've left yourself a bit of time, haven't you, before Saturday? Will you be playing on Saturday?
Oh, well, obviously I've been allowed to miss training tonight to obviously join you guys, and done a bit with Radio Sheffield before this. For the testimonial, but I think I'll have to go and do a little bit maybe tomorrow morning, get the legs moving again, and then hopefully be in the squad for Saturday.
Yeah, good luck. I'm looking forward to going to Sandygate soon. Not seen them yet this season. Steve Basford, the chairman of Hallam, I was in touch with earlier, and he's very kindly agreed to come in as a guest 1 week hence. Not next week.
It's like a little family, isn't it, non-league? You know, all these, there's lots of names, obviously, that if you kind of just a league football watcher or whatever, you don't really know sort of what's going on, but it's like its own kind of separate thing, isn't it? There's lots of the names and the faces that you're coming up against in that, isn't there? So.
Yeah, no, there's plenty of obviously local faces that I recognise, and obviously I see a lot of. I went to that Hallam game midweek as well. I had I had 10 minutes spare, so I thought I'd pop up and I saw the winner go in.
Brilliant.
Yes, I know, but it's.
That's me done. That's me done.
That's me done, is it?
Back to the interesting people.
I'm not sure about that.
Goalkeepers used to catch. Now they seem
Still
to
do.
punch.
No, they still do.
They still do, but not as often.
No, the biggest thing for me, the twilight of my career is I've never had so many finger injuries, and that's purely down to the fact that the ball moves all over the place. It's a problem, it's an issue. It wasn't really, in my day, had that until the latter stages. You know, if somebody hit a ball, the ball was hit and it moved as accordingly. If it was a swinger, out swinger, in swinger, it stayed true.
Yeah.
And you could pick the fly to the ball, you could pick and make the correct decision, which 9 times out of 10 you would catch it. That's how I was brought up. Now, I've had to evolve my own techniques and the way I approach things because of the way the ball moves. And everybody's got to remember, as a goalkeeper, what do? Do you go for a catch and it slips through your hands and it ends up in the back of the net because that's the next thing behind you? There's not as a defender, a goalkeeper behind you. There's nobody behind a goalkeeper apart from a netting. And or do you play safe and parry the ball away, hopefully with distance, into an area that doesn't really have an impact?
Do you think it's not really talked about as much, that? Because a lot of football watchers will see a game on the telly and they'll see, you know, I've started noticing it a little bit, is that when the ball's sort of almost going straight at them and moves, and the keeper will sort of just punch it, parry it away, and you think, and it looks like it's straight at him, but then you see the replay and it's diving all over, and it's actually a brilliant save.
As like I said, you used to be able to probably make a decision with regards to how you're going to deal with a shot 6 yards away from you. Now you're talking 3 yards. And because the ball moves, and it does, and it's like frightening. Cricket. Yeah, you know, it does. Yeah, and unfortunately for me, my take of it is it's made very average players good players because it's not really a skill. You hit the ball moves. Whereas when I played, if people could bend the ball, they could bend the ball because they got fantastic technique.
Right. So many players can do it.
Yeah, everybody can do it. You know, you know, if you hit the ball, miskick the ball or whatever, it can be rewarded with a goal or an effort on target. And I think that's how the balls are being designed. They've been made like that to make the sport or make the games more enjoyable. But as a goalkeeping point of view, are the goalkeeping standard any worse than what they were? No, they're not.
The other big change is goalkeepers are expected to be footballers more than they were, particularly with the change of the back pass law years and years ago. And international managers like Gareth Southgate looking for that means a career for you. As you know, I think you can prolong your career, Matt, by going back in goal because you can use your football skills in that position as well. Yeah,
no, like you say, though, obviously keepers now they are starting. You know, they are playing out from the back, and you know, obviously striking the first touch is big in a goalkeeper's game now. Whereas before they used to obviously just lump it upfield. They now, like you look at the Man City keeper. You know, he's spraying balls out to like the right wing back on the halfway line. He's picking players out that you like. You know, how's he doing that? He's got a better pass than certain midfielders. Jordan Pickford obviously was picked for a reason, and that
he was picked for that. Yeah, you know, his distribution was fantastic. I mean, I was lucky enough to be able to still change the game and develop into the fact that if needed be, I could pass a ball. I know at the time when it started to change, that you know, the good old days of when you either kicked it off the floor or kicked it out of your hands, and that was as far as it went. It's changed massively. As a coach, it's something that you have to address. A lot of people want a lot of goalkeepers two-footed. I'm not a fan of that. No. I don't think it. I think that becomes, as a goalkeeper, a lazy.
14 seconds left. I'm going to have to boot the ball out because I think we're winning 2-1. Thanks to you guys, Kevin Pressman and Matt Roney. Thank you, James. It's been an absolute pleasure to see you. If you missed it, it's on my YouTube later. See you next week. Thanks. Bye.